Right friends, welcome back to newspaper editorials discussion, and today there are 5 to 6 news items, and we are going to learn much more geography today, especially pertaining to Turkey as well as Palestinian territories and Israel, and we are going to learn little bit of geography through maps, because these issues are somewhat important when one considers the geography also into consideration. So, here before going ahead, look at the first issue. This is yesterday one news item in the Times of India. We are going to put around 2-3 minutes on this. After that, we will go to second issue, that also important, and these two issues we will look at the first instance, then we will go to the Hindu issues. First one is, after a year, Supreme Court Collegium paves way for peace with government. So, what do you understand by it? And before understanding it, you should have clear idea about the present status with regard to the appointment of judges in Supreme Court as well as High Courts, and this National Judicial Appointments Commission, with almost equal representation for judiciary as well as you can say executive and civil society, because two eminent members are also included here along with law minister. So, with due representation, this NJAC was brought and Supreme Court struck it down. After that, what Supreme Court said? Supreme Court said existing collegium system is the Supreme Court Chief Justice as well as the 4 senior most judges. They are deciding who can be the judges of High Courts and Supreme Court, and the present system will continue, but a rider is this memorandum of procedure will be made more accountable and transparent. While striking down NJAC, the Supreme Court said that the memorandum of procedure will be made more accountable and transparent, because the present concern is this collegium system is working without much transparency. Most of the things under the collegium system are opaque. So as to make it transparent, the Supreme Court stated at that time that the memorandum of procedure will be made more accountable and transparent. So, there was differences, or you can say there were differences between government as well as Supreme Court, and finally there was some sort of agreement between Supreme Court and the government. Basically, two issues are there. The first issue is Union government insisted for national security clause. On the basis of national security clause, the names recommended by the collegium can be struck down by the central government. Initially, Supreme Court did not agree to it, but now Supreme Court agreed to this clause, but with a rider that the central government must give reasons in writing whenever such veto power is exercised to strike down a person on the basis of national security clause. Then second issue is, at present most of the appointments recommended by collegium are without transparency, and so as to maintain the database, in fact, Union government proposed that setting up of secretariats in Supreme Court and each High Court, setting up secretariats in Supreme Court as well as in each High Courts. There are 24 High Courts in the country. So, maintaining database on judges and assisting the collegium in the Supreme Court and the High Courts in selection of judges, and finally the Supreme Court collegium agreed for setting up of secretariats. So, these two contentious issues as far as collegium is concerned were cleared recently as per the news report in the Times of India yesterday. So, having learnt this, let us look at second important aspect. Enemy property bill passed. Around 5 times ordinances were issued, and finally with consensus Of course, some amendments were proposed by Rajya Sabha, finally they were approved by Lok Sabha. Now finally enemy property bill was passed, and this news is also important, and you should have clear idea about what is enemy property. In fact, after the wars against China in 1962 and Pakistan in 1965 and 1971, property belonging to the nationals of these two countries was taken over by the Union government, and these properties were kept with the custodian, and custodian is the office instituted under the central government, and accordingly 1968 Enemy Property Act was brought. But now you may have a doubt, what is the present problem? Because the legal heirs, or you can say the inheritants, they are putting legal claims on these properties. The original persons who left for Pakistan or China, they died, and their sons, now they are asking with legal heir certificates. The enemy property, the definition ended with the death of the original persons as legal heirs. We have right on this property. That is the contention of the sons of these nationals who left to Pakistan or China, and that ran into several legal complications, and subsequently government thought it to bring amendments so that this enemy property will not go to the legal heirs. So, in a nutshell, inheritance of this property to the legal heirs is prohibited. Through this amendment, this clause was brought. I hope you are clear, and various properties I have listed here. Pakistani nationals, here in India there are 9,228 properties and 11,880 acres. Total value is around 1 lakh crores. They are at present with custodian, that is the office established by the government of India, and now the legal heirs cannot claim this property, right. So, this is all about this enemy property. So, I have given all the details. When the father dead, then son is claiming this property. So, this is ruled out with this, right. So, enemy property amendment and validation bill 2016 passed. Here basically one important aspect is, as I have already told you, inheritance of enemy property is prohibited as per this bill. Hence, the legal heirs of the original property owners cannot claim this property. So, after 5 ordinances, the contentious issue finally resolved, right. So, this is all about enemy property. This is gauntlet at Sukma. So, what is the meaning of gauntlet? Gauntlet means this is the open challenge thrown by the Naxalites, because some Jawans were killed unfortunately recently, and here there are left-wing extremism affected districts in our country. As per the Home Ministry statistics, because Home Ministry maintains a separate division also to look at the left-wing extremism, and there are 10 states at present. Some of the districts are affected by left-wing extremism, or in a layman's language, affected by Naxalites. So, after the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh as Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, there are at present 10 states affected by left-wing extremism. And if you look at the news item, the factual information is, during the last 2 decades, at least 15,000 people have been killed in Maoist related violence, and more than 3,000 of them were security personnel. Second point is, there is a reduction of violence from 2009-10. In 2016, official estimates put the death toll at 213 civilians, 65 security force personnel and 89 Maoists. And state security forces are visible in the region, but the main point is civil administration is not visible. So, that is the main reason for alienating the tribal people away from the state, and you can say towards the Naxalites. So, the main problem we are facing in Naxal areas is state administration, especially with the welfare measures, is absent. So, as per this editorial, the need of the hour is the state administration with the welfare measures must be strengthened, so as to wean away people from the Naxal activities. So, at present some of the sections of the society are giving support to Naxals, and as per this editorial, the immediate need of the hour is to have a visible state administration with welfare measures. Right. So, this is all about this editorial. The next one is, it is complicated. This is with regard to Turkey and European Union nations. Recently, both are at loggerheads. I will explain you the details. Before going ahead, you should have a glance at Turkey. Turkey is the country which is partially situated in Asia and partially situated in Europe. I will explain you with the maps, and this country of Turkey is basically the successor of Ottoman Empire, and it was formed in 1923, and it is a member of NATO, military grouping NATO, but it is not a member of European Union. It is asking for membership of European Union, and its per capita nominal GDP is quite good at around $10,000, and at the same time it has got predominantly Sunni Muslim population. The largest city is Istanbul. When people are talking about Istanbul, one thing please do not forget, Istanbul is situated in two continents, Asia as well as Europe, and similarly Turkey is also divided between Anatolian Peninsula and Balkan Peninsula, and the capital is Ankara, and largest minority group is Kurds. There is a demand for Kurdistan. I will explain that with maps, and let us look at this. Here Turkey and Syria have got long border. This is long border between Turkey and Syria, and initially during Syria's civil war, Turkey kept the borders open basically to support the rebels. Syrian government is headed by Alawite sect, which is the sect of Shia. Turkey is basically predominantly Sunni population, so the sectarian rivalry is at forefront. So, the border was kept open basically to facilitate arms supply to the rebel groups, but ultimately it benefited Islamic State. There were news reports that Turkey has resorted to illegal trade with Islamic State as far as oil is concerned. So, this is all about Syria and Turkey, and Syrian refugees are crossing to Turkey, and lakhs of refugees are now in Turkey. That is one part of the story. Geographically, let us look at Turkey. Turkey is now in a step going towards a dictatorial regime. Previously, it was considered to be the secular state. Now, it is going towards dictatorial regime. That is one part. If you look at it politically, more than all these things, what is important is look at Turkey. Turkey, the city is Istanbul. Istanbul is between Asia and Europe. That is one part, and this Turkey is situated both in Asia and Europe, a small part in Europe, and Istanbul is situated more than half of it in Asia and some part in Europe, and the strait which divides Asia and Europe. Somebody may ask you a question, the strait which divides Turkey as well as the strait which divides Asia and Europe is Bosphorus Strait. Please do not forget. So, this is Bosphorus Strait. Bosphorus Strait separates Asia with Europe. Similarly, it separates Asian portion of Turkey with the European portion of Turkey. Similarly, it separates Istanbul city, the largest city of Turkey, and at the same time this Bosphorus Strait connects Black Sea on one side and on the other side Sea of Marmara. So, please look into this. This Bosphorus Strait connects Black Sea and Sea of Marmara. Sea of Marmara is entirely within Turkey, and Sea of Marmara is connected to Aegean Sea by Dardanelles Strait. This Sea of Marmara and Black Sea are connected by Bosphorus Strait, and this Sea of Marmara and Aegean Sea are connected by Dardanelles Strait. So, if people are talking about Bosphorus Strait, Dardanelles Strait, please have clear idea as far as geography is concerned, because most of the questions in the geography are asked taking into consideration recent current events. So, Turkey is into the news, Palestine, Israel is into the news. So, therefore, questions are expected from these as far as geography is concerned. So, here I think you are clear about Bosphorus Strait, which connects Black Sea with the Sea of Marmara, and Dardanelles Strait connects Aegean Sea with the Sea of Marmara. So, this route is used to reach Black Sea. So, going from Mediterranean Sea to Black Sea, two straits are used. One is this Dardanelles Strait and Bosphorus Strait. Right, having learned this, let us look at this picture. Kurdistan. There is a demand for Kurdistan. Kurds are ethnic minority group of Muslim sect, and these Kurds have got their ethnic identity, and they are spread over 4 countries, and the largest Kurds population is situated in Turkey. So, there is a demand for Kurdistan, and Kurds are basically situated in 4 countries in the contiguous zone. These 4 countries are Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq. So, these things please do not forget, and at the same time this is Balkan Peninsula. As I have already told you, this Bosphorus Strait, starting from Bosphorus Strait, the portion is the Balkan Peninsula, and if you look at Asian side, this is Anatolian Peninsula. So, this Bosphorus Strait separates Anatolian Peninsula with Balkan Peninsula. That aspect also please do not forget. So, let us come back to the present discussion. Turkey issue of referendum. Why this referendum is going on April 16? On April 16, referendum is going on to move towards presidential system. President will have overriding powers if this referendum is approved by the people, right. So, here ministers of Turkey want to conduct rallies in European cities in support of Erdogan. So, this presidential referendum will be held on April 16, and this is basically to move towards a presidential system and to give the president overriding powers, or you can say it may move towards somewhat a dictatorial regime in future. So, here thousands of Turkish origin people, or you can say thousands of people from Turkey are staying in European countries. And now ministers of Turkey want to conduct rallies in European cities in support of President Erdogan. Then what will happen with this referendum? With this referendum, as I have already told you, country will move towards a presidential system, and at least 2 5-year terms for president uncontested, or you can say president will become too powerful if this referendum is through. Then European countries said no for conducting rallies in their countries. So, some of the European countries like Austria, Switzerland, Netherlands and some towns of Germany said no. What are the reasons? Reasons are security concerns and fear of political repercussion. Then why European countries reacted in such a way? European countries reacted in such a way because European leaders felt that it may strengthen anti-Muslim far-right parties. And some of the European countries are going to the polls this year, and across the world, especially across the Western countries, this nationalism, anti-immigration, post-truth are threatening the foundations of some countries nowadays, and more fear psychosis is created in this European countries because of this rallies by the Turkish origin people and the canvassing by the Turkish ministers in European countries, or you can say anti-Muslim backlash may be created. That is the fear of some of the European countries. Then what is the reaction of Turkey? In fact, Turkey reacted strongly, and Erdogan accused Germany with Nazi practices, and he also called Netherlands a fascist country and a Nazi remnant. Finally, Ankara expelled the Dutch ambassador and also threatened to scrap the agreement reached with the European Union on the migrants. Right. So, why this issue is so significant? Finally, why this is a significant event? Because of the reason EU is Turkey's largest trading partner, that is one thing. Second most important thing is Turkey is a member of military group NATO. Turkey is a member of this 28 member military coalition, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was formed in 1949 as a military group. Then Turkey and Europe need each other. Now Turkey wants the membership of European Union, and several Turks are working in European countries, and Turkey for several years asking for EU membership, and peace in Turkey is essential for peace not only in Europe but also in West Asia. As we have already seen, it is at the confluence of Asia on one side, Europe on the other side. So, the peace in Turkey is very much essential, right. By leaving the discussion there, let us look at the crimes of apartheid. What is the meaning of apartheid? The word apartheid originated because of the system prevalent till 1990s in South Africa. South Africa, there was racial discrimination till 1990s. Whites were considered to be supreme and blacks were treated as slaves. That is known as apartheid. So, apartheid means policy or system of segregation or discrimination on grounds of race, right. So, this term originated because of South Africa, and the issue is with regard to Palestine and Israel. Before going ahead, look at some geography here, because this is Israel and these two are Palestinian territories, and somebody may ask you, what are the borders of Israel? What are the borders of Israel? Borders of Israel come from the top. Of course, Israel has got Mediterranean Sea towards the western side, that is different. And let us look at the countries. Starting from the north, Lebanon. After that, these dotted lines are Golan Heights. Please do not forget, these dotted lines are Golan Heights. These Golan Heights were occupied by Israel from Syria in 1967 in the war. Israel has taken over this Golan Heights from Syria. So, Golan Heights at present 2/3 are with Israel, 1/3 are with Syria. So, Golan Heights basically belongs to Syria prior to 1967, and they were annexed by Israel much against the international wishes. Then if you look at boundaries, Lebanon, then this Golan Heights and Syria, then comes this Jordan, and here this is West Bank, and then Egypt. These are the borders of Israel, please do not forget. And West Bank borders are on one side, this is Israel, and on the other side Jordan. And what is this? This is a Dead Sea. This blue portion is Dead Sea. So, Dead Sea is situated in what are the countries? Basically that is situated in Palestine, Israel as well as Jordan. And one more you are seeing here, Gulf of Aqaba. Gulf of Aqaba is protruding from Red Sea, and that touches 4 countries. Gulf of Aqaba touches 4 countries. One side it is Egypt, then it is Israel, then Jordan, then Saudi Arabia. So, 4 countries have border with the Gulf of Aqaba, and these 4 countries are Egypt, Israel, then Jordan, then Saudi Arabia. So, here one more, this strip is there. This is Gaza Strip. Gaza Strip has got border with the 2 countries in addition to border with the Mediterranean Sea. Gaza Strip is ruled by Hamas, and Gaza Strip as well as West Bank, these 2 are considered as Palestinian territories. Please understand carefully, Gaza Strip as well as West Bank, these two are considered to be Palestinian territories, but Gaza Strip is ruled by Hamas. Hamas is not recognized by several countries. So, if someone talks about Gaza Strip borders, one side Egypt and this Israel, and at the same time it has got a border with the Mediterranean Sea. Similarly, if you look at West Bank, one side Jordan and on the other side Israel, and at the same time it has got border with the Dead Sea also. So, this entire complex picture is very much important once you look at the examination point of view as far as geography is concerned, because this Palestine and Israel, they are quite frequently in the news. So, please do not forget the borders of Israel, the borders of West Bank, the borders of Gaza Strip, the bordering countries of Dead Sea, at the same time Gulf of Aqaba. So, these things are very, very important. So, having learned this, let us look into the present issue, Israel and apartheid. We have already learnt about apartheid. This United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia is there. United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. This comprises 18 Arab states in West Asia, and the report is prepared at the request of the member states. Recently, there was a report by United Nations ESCWA. This ESCWA report stated that Israel has established an apartheid regime that dominated the Palestinian people. So, Israel is discriminating the people based on race. So, that is the meaning of this. The practice which was prevalent till 1990s in South Africa is prevalent and is being practiced by Israel. So, here Israel has established an apartheid regime that dominated the Palestinian people, and it is the first of its kind from a United Nations body as far as Israel and Palestine are concerned. So, it concluded finally that Israel is a racist state. Israel is a racist state, and that has established an apartheid system that persecutes Palestinian people, and it is established on the basis of scholarly inquiry and overwhelming evidence. So, overall it can be concluded that Israel is finally guilty of crime of apartheid, and it divided Palestinians into 4 groups, and strategic fragmentation of the Palestinian people was the main theme which Israel adopted. Right? Now, here what exactly the type of apartheid that Israel is resorting to? What exactly is the type of apartheid? Palestinians who have Israeli citizenship do not have the right to nationality, and they can access only inferior social services, and they find themselves unable to freely buy land, at the same time face restrictive zoning laws, and the latest law which is known as Musan Bill imposes limits on the Muslim call to prayer in Israel. On loudspeakers, they cannot call for prayers. So, these are all the apartheid type of situations imposed by Israel. Overall, Palestinians are being treated as second class citizens and with voting rights reduced to merely an affirmation of their subordination. So, this is the present situation, and we have to see basically how the world community will react. And you see, International Criminal Court is there. International Criminal Court is most of the times biased. Normally, it resort to cases against African leaders. International Criminal Court can come into picture when there is genocide or crimes against humanity or war crimes. Crimes against humanity, war crimes, as far as genocide, then International Criminal Court can take up the leaders. They have filed criminal cases against African leaders. They never filed criminal cases against the leaders from western part of the globe. So, now let us wait and see whether the International Criminal Court will react to the apartheid which is prevalent in Israel against the Palestinians. So, here recommendations of the committee is, the committee asked that the International Criminal Court to investigate the situation in Israel, International Criminal Court to investigate the situation in Israel, and we have to see whether the world community as a whole, how they will react because of this, right. So, let us wind up this here, and we have to wait for the reaction of the world community, because it is against the international conventions also. Then an exit from Brexit. This is with regard to Scotland. We deliberated few days ago with regard to this Scotland. This United Kingdom has got 4 regions, England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. The biggest problem in the Brexit vote. Brexit vote is to leave European Union. In the Brexit vote, in fact, 2 regions voted for Brexit, going away from the European Union, leaving the European Union. 2 regions out of 4 regions have voted for it, predominantly England and Wales, whereas Scotland and Northern Ireland voted for remaining within European Union. Now, UK decided to trigger Article 50 to leave European Union, and now the question is how the Scotland and Northern Ireland will react. Now, Scotland want that we would like to be with the single market. Last week I explained you the difference between free trade area and single market. Now, as UK is leaving European Union, UK will come out of customs union as well as single market. But here this Scotland region wants to stay within single market. How is it possible? It is not possible. Now, that is the reason why Scotland is going for second referendum. That means in the second referendum, in the first referendum, of course, in 2014, 55% of the people voted to remain with the UK, but after the UK's vote to leave European Union, we have to see how the country will react now. In fact, in the Brexit vote, 62% voted to remain with European Union, and now we have to wait and see for the second referendum whether Scotland would like to be with the United Kingdom or not in the changed circumstances. Next one, a lost opportunity. This is about maternity benefit bill. This we are going to produce as a separate capsule. In fact, either today or tomorrow this will be with you. Maternity benefit bill, what are various features and what are critics saying, what are the challenges and what is the experience world over. All these things we are going to present as a special capsule, and this article in The Hindu today talks about some of the issues, but we are presenting much more than that. And in this newspaper editorial, I would like to put forth few points for 2 minutes. One is this maternity leave available to the working woman from now onwards, because this became a reality. This maternity benefit amendment bill was passed in Parliament, and 12 weeks to 26 weeks for the first 2 children. For the first 2 children, this maternity leave will be increased from at present 12 weeks to 26 weeks. And this is for organized sector employees, the formal sector employees which employ 10 or more employees, or organized sector, and it will be applicable to them only. For children beyond first 2, it will be 12 weeks only, and maternity leave of 12 weeks to be available for mothers adopting a child below the age of 3 months, and at the same time it will be applicable for commissioning mothers also. Then the next one is every establishment with more than 50 employees or which employ more than 30 women must take steps to establish crèche. The example of crèche I have given here, please go through it. So, crèche must be established, and at the same time working mothers and mothers will be permitted to make 4 visits to the child so as to breastfeed them. Then the next one is every employer, if possible, may permit women to work from home, and every establishment will be required to make these benefits available to the woman from the time of the appointment. So, what are the challenges and what is the counter view? All these things, please view the capsule. And last item, comparing budgets. There is one news article with regard to comparing budgets, comparison of defense budgets of 3 countries. USA, USA's defense budget is $600 billion. Our defense budget is $54 billion. USA's is $600 billion, and in fact, all of you are familiar that United States of America is reducing most of its foreign operations, but still Donald Trump proposed 10% increase in defense budget. So, it want to strengthen further strategically. Then if you look at China, it is $150 billion. In fact, there is 6-7% increase, and we have to look at it from its complex neighborhood like South China Sea, and China's budget or strategic capabilities are nowhere near that of USA. This is one aspect. In spite of complexities, in fact, China is not expanding its budget, very well knowing that the bad experience of Russia. In fact, the then USSR expanded its defense budget and ultimately it stretched too far. Subsequently, it resulted in economic downturn for the present day Russia also. Then India's budget is $54 billion, and it is a third of Chinese budget, and basically the need of for our country is modern infrastructure and military capabilities is to be there. Then Indian Air Force is especially struggling with huge shortage of fighter jets. So, this is what is evident from this article. So, if you compare USA, China and India, USA defense budget is $600 billion, China's 150, India's around 54. Right friends, with this let us conclude today's editorial discussion, and please do join at 12 o'clock. We are going to deliberate some important economy related terms. Have a nice day. Thank you.